Hi there, welcome. My name's Neil Grant, and today we're going to talk about sculpture armatures. I'm going to show you 3 different variations of sculpture armature. I'm going to show you how to make 2 of them. One of my biggest considerations when thinking about sculpture armatures is how easy is it to get the piece off of the armature at the end. If it's a complex armature I'm using with lots of bits of wire and various other pieces, that's really tough. So I like to use something nice and simple. So here are the 3 we're going to look at today. So here we have them. We've got 3 armatures for us to look at. The first one is just really simple. It's toilet plunger handle onto a wooden board. We actually had a bit of an emergency in a class. We ran out of sculpture stands. So this one's put together at the last minute. It's just a simple screw in the base, literally just a toilet plunger handle, and I'll talk a little bit about these bits in a minute, but just a big washer and a simple little clip. And this is a really easy one to make for yourself. This one in the middle, this is a purchased one. You can buy them online. I bought this from PCF Studios. I think it cost about 18 bucks with postage. Really simple little stand, just a little bit of dowel. The job of the washer is done by a piece of wood here, a little screw on the side that allows you to tighten it. Now the aim of the washers and this little board here is when you put your portrait up, it stops the clay slumping down. So you imagine building your neck up, building your head up. Gravity makes the clay want to head for the deck, and these little washers here stop it doing that. So really useful when early on, as the clay begins to sort of harden and stiffen up a little bit. You can move these out of the way, but when you start, you really want these in place. Okay, and this stand on the end, this is my favourite one. This is made from plumbing parts, very robust, pretty cheap to make. And in terms of longevity, what you tend to find with these wooden based ones is after a while they get a little bit mouldy, they expand with the moisture of the clay, so their lifetime is sort of limited compared to these ones here, which stick around forever. The only problem you ever get with these ones is rust. So ironically, for water pipes they like to rust, so sometimes you need to soak them in vinegar, give them a bit of a go with a Brillo pad or a scouring pad, and that will restore them. So here we've got all of the parts to make the dowel based armature. The process for making the base of the armature is the same for both the plumbing part one and the dowel one. So we're going to start with that. I've got a simple piece of, this is 1/2 inch ply. You can use 3/4 inch ply. It's a bit more stable, a little more expensive. And I've got it about 10 inches by 10 inches square here. And that's going to be my baseboard. I've got 2 little runners here. These can be any size you like, as long as they are shorter in length than the board, and they're both the same size. Don't go any even ones because you'll get a wonky armature stand. I've got a piece of dowel here, so this is about 3/4 of an inch thick. You can go sort of up to an inch. 12 inches long I've cut it to. I've got a ruler. Now this ruler is not your regular 12-inch one, just simply because I need to be able to span the board here when I'm drawing some of my lines. So you can just use a piece of wood as long as it's got a straight edge on it. You don't need to do any actual measurement with this. We've got a bit of PVA, so a bit of wood glue here. Got a charcoal pencil. You can use a regular pencil. I'm just using charcoal so you can see it. It shows up well on the camera. I've got 4 teeny weeny little nails here. Now their job is just to hold my runners in place while I glue them onto the base of the board. I've also got a screw. This one is about 3 inches long. Longer the better, because it gives you more stability. A short little screw is probably going to, if you put a bit of weight onto the onto the armature is probably going to go sideways. I've got my teeny weeny little hammer for my teeny weeny nails. Screwdriver. I've got a drill. Now, the drill bit is just slightly smaller than the actual screw itself in diameter. So it should be easy to go in. And then finally, I've got my safety glasses, all important safety glasses. Now, I think these either belong to Napoleon Dynamite or Elton John before I got them. I can't tell here. But I'm going to pop them on. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue the little runners onto the base of our stand. So I'm going to pop the glue on. I'm just going to use an enormous amount, just to sort of, yeah. Wood glue is really, really strong stuff. I live out on the Cape and they build an awful lot of boats out here using an awful lot of this glue. So I'm just going to place these on here like this. Now literally, it doesn't really, this isn't precision carpentry or anything like that, so I'm just going to place them on like that. I'm going to take it, simply going to flip it over, check I've got them roughly right. I'm just going to tack them in place with a couple of nails. So. That's nailed in. I'm not going to win any carpentry awards for it, but it's totally fit for purpose. So we've got two little runners on the base there. That glue will set up in probably sort of 30 minutes. It cures fully overnight. So next stage for us is we're going to mark up our board. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to draw a cross, corner to corner. So go across like this. Hopefully you can see that okay with the charcoal pencil. Across like this. And that is the centre of our board. So we figured out centre, we've got something that was roughly square, drew some cross lines, and then we've got the centre. What we're going to do next is we're going to put a hole in our dowel. So we're going to pre-drill it to make our life easy. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to draw a cross. A real sort of straight up. Just trying to get roughly, where is the centre of my dowel here, because that gives me where to drill. Okay, so we've marked a cross on the end of our dowel rod. So that's our sort of crosshairs, our target to aim for with the drill. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put it into the vise, just so it holds it. Don't try and do this by hand, we've got to do it safely. So I'm going to move over and I'm going to put this vertically into the jaws of my vise. Let's tighten it up a little bit. There we go, so that's not going anywhere. Then I'm going to take my drill and I'm going to aim for the centre of the dowel rod. So here we go. If you've got a particularly loud drill, you might want to think about putting some ear defenders on at this point. There we go, we are drilled. So there you go, you can see we've put a little hole in there. So what we're going to do next is we are going to do the big boy version of the dowel rod. So we've got a much bigger target to hit here. We're just going to drill a hole through our baseboard so the screw can go through and into the dowel rod. Now, the main thing I'm thinking about when I do this is not taking my drill and going through my desk as well. So obviously do this on a work desk, don't do it on your Chippendale. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill, but as soon as I feel the slight pressure release, I'm going to pull back on the drill bit so I don't go through the desk. Alternatively, you can prop this up on a couple of books maybe, just give yourself a bit more space. So here we go. There we go, I'm through. Will be revealed that I hit the desk? No, I didn't. So I can see you. We've got our hole all the way through. Now, in an ideal world, if we were doing a carpentry shop, we would countersink this hole here, so it was nice and flush. I'm not going to bother with that because I don't want to make you go and get a countersinker. Because we've got the runners on here, we don't need it. We're not going to scratch our table because the runners are in the way. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to attach our baseboard with our screw to our dowel. I'm going to put a little dab of wood glue onto the end of the dowel here, just to hold it nice and secure. There we go. Just a little spot there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my baseboard, I'm going to come up from beneath it with the screw. Now I'm going to do this by hand with a screwdriver. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to screw it sufficiently out. Can you see there's a little, the very end of the screw just comes out there. What that allows me to do is that allows me to line up the end of my screw into my dowel rod, just hold it there, and then I'm just going to screw it in. All the way into the dowel there. Just going to take it out of the vise. And there we go. One dowel-based sculpture stand. So what we'll do is we will let that glue dry up overnight. Okay, so the one thing I forgot to mention was putting on our little support washer and popping on a little hose clamp here. So we're governed by the laws of physics, so the hole in your washer, these are just steel washers you can buy in the hardware store. The hole in our steel washer needs to be bigger than the diameter of our dowel rod, otherwise it's not going on there. What we're going to do first though is we're just going to pop on, this is called a hose clamp, and you'll find them over towards the plumbing section normally. Or you can pick these up in automated stores, places like that. So that's going to go on there. What we will do is we will tighten this to the height with our screwdriver of where we want it to go. And then the steel washer will go on next. So there you go, that's a complete fit for purpose dowel sculpture armature. Okay, so we're going to make our armature stand with the plumbing parts now. So we've got our baseboard to the same point. So we've got our runners on it. We've got our big X on there, so we know where the centre is. Now let's talk a bit about parts. So we're going to use a 12-inch plumbing pipe. So you can get the galvanised ones. There are ones for, you'll see ones in the store that are black, some that are galvanised. Either works. They do sell a plastic one actually, that is super good from the perspective of keeping it clean. It doesn't rust, but it's not quite as strong as these pipes. So this is a 1/2 inch, this is 12 inches long, 1/2 inch diameter. This is what's known as a 1/2 inch flange. And you'll find these right next to these normally in the plumbing store or in the hardware store. So just pick up one of these. So this is going to go into here, and the only thing we need to do is fasten it down onto the board. So I'm going to do that. These are sheet metal screws. They are 3/4 of an inch, size 12. So sort of short and stubby, these little fellas. You're going to need your drill, you need a pencil, and we're going to need a screwdriver. So first thing we've got to do is pre-drill some little pilot holes for our screws to go in. Now, the way I line up on centre with the plumbing flange is you can see it's got the 4 holes in. If I put it onto the centre spot, so we've got that X marks the spot, our Treasure Island styly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up each of the 4 holes so that a line passes through it. If the line doesn't pass through it, then you're probably off centre. So I will hold this up, so hopefully you can see what I've done. Each of the lines passes through there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pencil. I'm just going to mark where each one of those is, so I can drill a little pilot hole. So you can see what I've done. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill the pilot holes for the screws. Obviously select a drill bit that is smaller than your screw diameter. If you do it the other way around, all your screws are going to fall out. There is the potential for, if I just drill straight down on this, there is the potential for the board to spin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it to the edge here, like this, just to avoid it spinning round. So, got my big clamp. That's not going anywhere. Now again, I'm going to remember, I'm not going to put enormous pressure on my drill, because if I do, as soon as I go through the board, I'm through my desk. So always want to avoid that. So I'm just over the pilot hole, I've got the drill bit on there, and away we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So just get rid of all these little wood chips. I'm going to unclamp this now. So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down first and move these out of the way. We're going to line up the holes in our flange with the holes we've just drilled in our board. Hopefully they match up. If they don't, then something's gone a bit wrong. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my screws, and again, if you are fortunate enough or prefer to use an automatic screwdriver, you can. I normally just sort of loosely place them in here. And I always tighten screws or anything like that in diagonals. That's what I was taught. What I'm going to do is I'm going to screw in each of these screws into the baseboard. Okay, so there you go. We've screwed the flange onto the baseboard. You can see here, what I always check for is have any of the screws come through to the other side. It's just little points that you can catch your fingers on. So if they have come through, just take a file and file them down. I'm lucky on these, they haven't. That's one of the other advantages of a 3/4 inch board, is that's not going to happen. So there you go, we've got our baseboard, we've got our flange screwed to it. Next thing we're going to do is going to take our pipe, we're simply going to screw it righty-tighty So do it clockwise in there. There you go. There you've got your stand. Now, what we can look at is the different washers we can put on this. So we can use exactly the same arrangement that we did for the dowel. So you can put on a hose clamp, put on your metal washer, and just tighten the hose clamp. A little bit of a tedious process. So we can tighten that into place. Imagine I've tightened that and that will just hold that there. My preferred arrangement is to use a little, I think this is a 1 inch, that's what it says on the label, a 1 inch little C-clamp. So I just tighten that on there. And you can use that, again, with the metal washer. On it goes. That's going to hold your neck in place when you've got a load of clay on here. Or alternatively, if you know a carpenter friend, which I do fortunately, he just cut me some little wooden washers that sit on there. The advantage of those is they're just a bit wider. They spread the waste a little more. There you go, that's our plumbing stand. This is the one I typically use. This is the one that I like. But any of the stands we've seen today are going to work. They're all going to be perfectly adequate. You know, I think, what do they say? A good workman or a bad workman blames his tools. So your sculpture stand, you know, the ones we've seen today are great. So you'll have to blame something else. All right. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.